Hello, and welcome to another episode of Jeremy's INTP stuff. What I want to talk about today is kind of a serious topic. So, if you're looking for something slapstick or humorous, you've come to the wrong video. I would say that with all my videos, and so it's perhaps superfluous to say it as a prefix of this video. But anyway, slightly serious topic. We're going to talk about anxiety and depression and what's causing it among the general population. So studies have shown that people are getting more and more depressed. And you would think that with social media that we're all, connected more. And so we should feel a sense of connectedness. But not only are we depressed, we also feel isolated, even with the social media. And the quick culprit seems to be the internet or social media itself. That's what's making everyone depressed. However, there's big data that shows that anxiety and depression among the general population, especially in the West, has been on the increase since the 90s. In other words, way before the internet was as proliferated as it was today, and certainly before social media. And so a researcher, and I'm going to put the link in the description below, a researcher, I'm going to put his name and a link to his research in the description below. The researcher did a study and he went around the world and talked to all these different cultures and said, hey, are you depressed? And if so, why do you think that is? And if you're not depressed, what's the reason that you're not depressed? And he gathered all of this information. And he at first found a lot of different big reasons that he thought were the common denominators for the people that seemed to be not depressed. But then he kept finding one common theme that resonated throughout all of the cultures that weren't depressed, all of the groups of people that weren't depressed. And it was that they were around other people. And it was as simple as that. Now, you may think, well, I'm around other people. I go shopping at Target and pick up my groceries and, therefore I'm around people. Not like that. What he means is being around people is a daily part of your life. It's built into your community. And I'm not even talking about living in the suburbs where you have neighbors. Not even that. I'm talking about, think of the 17 and 1800s when people lived in villages, and whenever they walked out the front door of their cabin, they were greeted by the other villagers. They were always there. And they had a strong sense of purpose as well. So whenever you live in a village, you have a sense of purpose because everyone in the village has a job, else you're not going to be allowed to stay in the village. And so, you have the blacksmith, and you have the cook, and you have the tanner, and you have, the engineer, and you have the hunters and gatherers, and you have the people that do art even. But they had a purpose, and it was well defined in the community. And so even for the introverted types like INTP, if we were having an existential crisis, for example, and we woke up and we're in that existential crisis, whenever we left our cabin to do whatever we had to do for the day, you were already in the village and it was buzzing with people around you. And that sort of connection to other people, unplanned connection, in other words, an organic connection with people around you, is what would draw you out of your existential crisis. And now you have to plan social interactions with other people. And the judgment types may say, well, you should always plan. Well, perhaps for the judgment types, sure. But whenever it comes to socializing, humans weren't meant to have to socialize in a structured, planned ahead of time setting. It's something we evolved with. There were always people around us. We survived by sticking together. And we didn't plan sticking together. We stuck together so we didn't get eaten by the saber-toothed tiger. And now whenever it's like, okay, all right, even though I'm on my couch now and I'm getting ready to watch Netflix, all right, let me call up my friends and say, hey, friend, would you like to come over and watch Netflix? And they're like, I kind of have other stuff to do. And you're like, okay. And then maybe you call again. It's like, hey, you want to go see a movie? And then you go see a movie and you don't really talk. And then you leave and you're like, that wasn't very fulfilling. Gosh, why do I even hang out with people? That wasn't very fulfilling. Well, it's because you're having to exert effort and awkward effort to get that socialization. Now, for extroverts, it's probably slightly easier, and they may not know exactly what I'm talking about here. But for introverts, they know exactly what I'm talking about when I say it takes a tremendous amount of energy for us to set up social activities. Why? Because we know that it's going to zap our energy. And so for us to actually go through with it and be social, be very social and constantly have people in our lives, that's not a natural thing for us. And so I'm not surprised to see anxiety and depression on the rise whenever we have a critical component of human civilization being in a state of degradation as we do now. So whenever you wake up and are having an existential crisis, now you get on your laptop and say, how to cure existential crisis, or you take medicine, or you take drugs, the other type of medicine. Some people exercise, and that's good. I'm not saying that there aren't other coping mechanisms, but one of the natural organic coping mechanisms for keeping people happy used to be to have people around them, even if you don't directly talk with them. And I think it's made a big heck of a difference. Let me restart. It's become much, much more apparent what I'm saying right now with COVID. I think you've seen a lot of people kind of falling apart and either gaining weight or being very unhappy or making big life changes or breaking up with their partner or trying new things just to get out of this rut of not having being able to socialize with others, even in an inorganic way. And even things like going to a flea market or a produce stand and just seeing other people, that's been something that we've been lacking for over a year. And before that, we were lacking it at a macro level. We don't live together in villages anymore. We live isolated. We almost celebrate isolation. And I don't know what to do about this. I don't know how to fix this. What part of me says, well, we should create villages again, but that's not realistic. I think if I'm having a bad day, I think to myself, what would it be like if whenever I woke up and was having a very bad day and I was depressed or whatever, and I walked out my front door and I was greeted by familiar faces that I had seen and I knew and that had been around me. They don't have to say anything, even though they can. But what if I saw the blacksmith or the cook and they said, "Hey, Jeremy," that would feel so good. And we don't have that anymore, generally speaking, especially in the West. And this is just something that we should think about. And so the next time, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, if somebody wants to hang out, say yes, do it. And perhaps try to be more social, even if it's awkward, do it anyway. I think that it's one of the critical components of the long-term happiness of our society. So if you agree, let me know. If you disagree, let me know. And if you haven't hit like or subscribe on my channel, if you haven't hit like on this video or subscribe to my channel, do so now using the awkward silence that's going to begin right now.